So, okay, Tom. Well, nice to
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
To us. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And please tell us what are your presentation about?
Yeah, today. So I've been doing some collaborative research with the Lallemand team, the Lallemand brewing team, specifically on thiol biotransformation. That is the conversion of non-aromatic thiol precursors that you find in hops, and how those can be released during the fermentation process. So part of the talk today is going to be focusing on what are thiols chemically and why are they important from a sensory perspective, and what do you find in terms of hops, like how much free thiols, how much of the bound thiols. And the next part of the talk will be focusing on research projects that we've been doing with Lallemand on fermentation conditions like temperature and wort nitrogen, things that brewers can control to try to either increase or decrease these thiols. And then the last part is stuff that's still in progress, and we're looking at gene expression, that is how the genes in the yeast are turned on or turned off, specifically for this thiol production pathway, to understand in depth, like where in the fermentation process does this occur, and how is the yeast going about producing these compounds.
Okay, and how does this affect for producers?
Beer? Yeah. So one of the things that people that are making hop-forward IPAs, like hazy, juicy IPAs or West Coast IPAs, is this signature fruity aroma that can lean into a tropical space, and thiols contribute a portion of that. The polyfunctional thiols that come from hops have a fruity characteristic, like grapefruit and citrus fruit, but they also have these tropical flavors like passion fruit and guava, and they're very potent aromas. And so what people have realized is that there is this huge untapped pool of these thiol precursors, and brewers are trying to find ways to unlock those and create more fruit-forward aromatic beers.
And which is the stage of this research right now?
I would say it's like middle stage. We're beyond the stage where we're just discovering what these compounds are. So we know that these compounds exist. We know that there's this big pool of precursors. We're in this stage now of understanding which yeast seem to be the most beneficial for releasing these compounds. And as I talked about just previously, the different fermentation conditions that brewers have to try to release them. And then I think the next stage that will come after this is then really creating like toolkits for brewers to understand, okay, if we're really trying to maximize this type of characteristic or preserve it, how to do that.
Okay, and what size of producers this development is aiming?
Oh man, it could be the whole spectrum. So because I think what you see is really small breweries to very large breweries making hop-forward beers. These compounds, you can find them in non-hop-forward beers, but they're really expressed in hoppy beers. And so certainly small craft brewers are interested in this kind of style. But you see the big breweries as well that are making hop-forward beers. They would have interest in this as well. I would probably think that the smaller or medium-sized brewers are probably going to be the earlier adopters of this. Certainly when you talk to the brewers, the ones that are really interested in this tend to be these very passionate, very science-curious brewers.
Okay, they are more willing to experiment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and willing to experiment and look for ways to make their products different from their competitors and really understand the process.
Okay, and from a consumer perspective, how is this research or this development going to change what they are going to experiment?
Exactly, yeah. So if you look at the landscape of beers that are available to consumers, in the hoppy category, the ones that are really hop forward and in this citrusy, fruity characteristic, those have a lot of appeal. When you look at hop forward beers that are made with hops that are very low in these kind of thiol compounds, you don't see a lot of hop forward, let's say, like IPAs made with classic German hops, because those classic German hops don't have a lot of these compounds, and they don't express this really intensely fruity flavor. Same thing with, let's say, Polish hops or Slovenian hops. Those hops are great for making certain types of beers, but they don't lend themselves as well for making IPAs as do New World hops like American hops and New Zealand or Australian hops. And these New World hops tend to have much higher levels of these compounds that we're talking about, these thiol compounds. So as a brewer understands how to optimize and maximize the amount of these key flavor compounds, the consumer will see more intensely flavored or more diversely flavored beers.
Okay. And do you have any expectation on when this could go out to the market?
I think you see it already in terms of brewers making decisions on selecting yeast specifically for trying to control hop flavor. I think before brewers would select yeast based upon like ethanol tolerance or based upon speed of fermentation, and certainly for like yellow lager beers for sort of the ester profile. But I think until recently, brewers of hoppy beers haven't realized that like yeast is a tool in the toolbox that they can draw from. And so like what Lallemand is trying to do is understand which yeast are really well suited for this type of style of beer and what sort of fermentation conditions like help the brewer make this style of beer. So the brewer is now looking at not just a range of different hop varieties, but hop varieties and also potentially yeast strains that they can match together.
Okay. So any other comment or final remarks?
I think the thing that I'm finding very interesting about this conference, well, it's not really a conference, but it's a technical meeting of the Lallemand staff, but they've created a day that is open, right? They are inviting people who are non-Lallemand scientists like myself and Diego and Juan to come and share their knowledge, but they're also opening it to brewers, and so it's like a little mini conference focused very specific on yeast. I think that's really, really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you bet. Lucas.